Hello everyone, it is Wizaldo or Wesley, and today I'm taking a look at a viewer requested deck, and that is Rosinante. The green-blue Rosinante, the more superior one, to say the least, given that purple-yellow didn't get the support it needed. This deck excels at flooding the board with your 2-cost characters and protecting them from the smaller swings that your opponent may throw into them. Just to hop through the deck list real quick, you're running 3 Sugar, 3 of the Rosinante 2-cost blocker, 4 Vanderdecken, 3 Koshiro, 3 Tashigi 2Ks, 3 Arlong, 4 of the Jimbei 2Ks, 2 of this carrot that freezes a 7-cost, 3 Hody Jones, 3 Captain Kidd, 3 of the 10-cost Doflamingo, 2 of the Rosinante that plays a 2-cost from your deck, 3 of the Mr. 3, whole lot of 3s in here, 3 of the 2-cost Charlotte Pudding that bounces itself to its hand, to the owner's hand, and is also a 2-cost, 3 of the Duval, 3 of the Ivankov that plays a 2-cost from the top of your deck, and 2 Pudding. Alright, so the point of the deck is to kind of flood the board with these 2-costs with useful effects, using Vanderdecken, trashing Arlong, Jimbei, or Hody to kind of clear the opponent's board. Then when you get to the late game, you protect your Captain Kidd and just slowly whittle down your opponent. You protect it using the Rosinantes, Mr. 3s, Duvals, even Leader if you need to, and freezing your opponent's board with the 10-cost Doflamingo. And then once you get to a point where you're trying to take out your opponent, you play the Hody to end the game. The deck definitely wants to go second. The only odd curve it has is Carrot, Ivankov, and Tashigi. And Rosinante if you consider that you'd use its effect the first turn it's played. And yeah, so that's a pretty good rundown of the deck, pretty quick. I am going to just hop into a game straight away and see how it performs. Alright, we are playing into a Sanji, the blue-purple. This is a good casual game to kind of show off the deck, I think. Alright, we got second, which is nice. And I have Duval into Ivankov, which is perfect, so I'm going to keep this. Really nice curve going. So I probably Duval, then stack my deck in a way that lets me play a 2-cost. So I will start placing on top. I will draw this Arlong next turn, then play this Rosinante off the top of my deck, and then I'll draw into another Arlong. Just verify real quick in my head that that works. And yeah, I can end there. Alright, my opponent searches a Boof Burst. They play it to draw some cards. My opponent's going to have a huge hand, so I want to be conscious of my puddings in my deck just so I can drop them and really mess up my opponent. Take the first hit, and nice, we get a Vanderdecken, which we can use next turn to just KO something. Going to play this, play the Rosinante, use the Rosinante to search for a Koshiro, and then I can go 5 at lead. Granted, it might have been a good idea to leave my Leader up there, but I do have 6 or less, so it will restand at the end of the turn. And yeah, so I can defend from one of these 2K swings at my characters using my Leader because he has blocker. That's kind of the whole point of having the blocker. A lot of people are like, oh, it's really bad because you're not going to want to take a 10K swing to face, right? You're not going to want to block that from coming at your character. But the whole point is in the early game to protect your like 1 and 2K characters from getting swung at with the searchers that your opponent plays. So this Ivankov is going to be really useful for drawing cards, and then my opponent got rid of it. That's a little rough, but it's not the end of the world for this. My opponent can swing a little bit more. Don't think I blocked this one, unfortunately. I get rid of one of my pretty strong characters early, but block this. Maybe they give 2 and swing into it again. Alright, I could Sugar and then Vanderdecken, but that's not really going to do anything for me. So I am going to... I think Sugaring the Sanji no matter what here is the right play, and then I'll swing big into it. I could still play a 2K though, or I could just guarantee that I get rid of the Sanji early. I think that's the right play, unless my opponent uses a counter event or just dumps a ton of hand. My goal here is to just play really safe into the late game where I can, nice, we got a ton of counter there. That'll slow down my opponent a good amount. I want to play really safe until the late game where I will be able to just drop my big bodies. It's kind of like UP in a way, but I think this deck excels a little more at slowing down your opponent. Alright, I definitely rest the Luffy. Although, yeah, I rest the Luffy. I don't want that swinging at me. Block this. And then I assume they throw the Sora into it too. Or not. Yeah, that's gonna take it. Alright, this turn I definitely get rid of the Luffy. So I'll deploy this. Trash the... I'll probably trash the Jimbei. I'm doing halfway decent on counter in hand. And I kind of want to play the Arlong just to have a bigger body on board. So yeah, I'll use the card action. Trash the Jimbei, KO that. Then I'll play the Arlong, trashing a Mr. 3, I think. And then I'll swing 7 life. One of the cool things that I have seen people run in this is the love arrow or slave arrow. I can't remember what the name is, but it's so you can bounce the Vanderdeckens back into your hand to play again. I think my opponent is also controlling me like crazy. They're gonna go really wide, so I have to worry about that. But hopefully I can see my 10 cost Doflamingos to help deal with that. Filling up that trash. Honestly, it might be a good plan to kind of let my opponent deck out here, just so I can kind of have that safety. I'll just swing huge at life, or huge at the Sanji, but they do have a blocker, so if I swing with this, it would require 4. Hopefully they'll just give the Reiju here and I can just swing even bigger at it. Yeah. Get 2 2Ks here maybe, a giant. That puts my opponent pretty far behind. Don-wise. And I hit 10 Don, so I'm just looking for my big bodies now. I need to get my hand a little bit bigger. It's pretty rough that my opponent got rid of my, what's it called? My Ivankov so early, just because that's a really good way to keep my hand big. Another thing I've been thinking about putting into the deck is the Cavendish that draws 2 and trashes 1 on attack. It's a decent sized body that also is really good for keeping your hand size big, but I worry that the hand size could get too big and you won't get your end of turn effect going off on Rosinante, which restands the leader. I think I'd take both swings this turn, just because I need cards in hand. But now that I think about it, this might be a good one to block. My opponent doesn't have anything that rests, so I'll get rid of the Galdino. This turn I get to carrot, and then I'll just swing big at life. I'll play another Rosinante, I think, or another blocker. I'll play the Mr. 3, so I'm not too worried about that one. Yeah, big at life. Get my opponent low so that when I'm dropping my big bodies, I don't have to worry too much about stuff. And this keeps them at low Don, which means they can't really flood the board as fast, so that's good too. I have 3 blockers up and a decent body on board, and a red rocket. It's going to be a very slow game. I'm not sure if I would call this a bad matchup, but it's definitely not an ideal one, just because my Vanderdeckens are kind of offline here into this. But we do see the Doflamingo, which I think I just dropped. Freeze 3 bodies, and then I end turn, just because I can't swing at life. Red Rock, hate to see it. Not happy about that, that's for sure. Getting rid of my big bodies, that's rough. Alright, this is a good one. Can do this. Play the sugar, just rest. I wish I could rest at base cost, but it's not that. Swing bigger at lead. He just blocks this. He should just block it. He has the big bodies already, which is a little annoying. I think this might qualify as a bad matchup for the deck. I think if I can survive, I have to try and end turn. Pray I get a something huge. I rest the Reiju because I do want to try and end game, but I'm gonna guess they might. Yeah, that's scary. I have 3 blockers for the 3 swings it's gonna come at it, but I do kind of wish I didn't have to use the 3 blockers. Block 1, block 2. And I'm gonna just take the 3rd one with my leader, because I need to kind of go for game here. And I was hoping to see a Hody, but unfortunately I didn't get one. Maybe I'll draw one. I drew one. I think this might be game. Let's hope. I can rest those 2 things and swing a few at him. I can go 7, 8, 9. I think my opponent does just block these, but maybe not. Maybe they are just super bricked up with events. Trash doesn't have a whole lot of counter in it, so I don't think I win this, but if I do, that'd be insane. Let's see. Oh wow, they were super bricked up. That's a great one. Make sure to type GG. It was a really intense game. Good one to show off the deck. Alright, here's that deck one more time. I'm going to do the same thing that I usually do in trying to update it a little bit. I do think the deck does need a little bit more card draw. You saw I went down really low, kind of defending everything. It does only have 10 2K counters, so that does feel a little bit rough. I don't want to cut any of these. I don't want to cut any of my fishmen just because they are a really integral part of the deck. Putting in Cavendish is a brick, which is not something I really want to do. I think the weakest 2 cost in the deck is probably the Mr. 3 and the Koshiro. So I think those are the best 2 to cut down on. Just because there's not a ton of slash options. I know this does bump up the number of slash characters, but Koshiro is really only played because it's a 2 cost blocker that does have an extra effect. There are other 2 cost blockers in that slot, like this Borsalino, that does have a little bit more power to it, but I think the Koshiro does have that bonus effect, and being a 4K doesn't really do much when you're just going to be blocking that with lead. If something under 5K is getting swung, you're not going to counter out of it. With the Borsalino, it's just going to take. And yeah, I think this is a pretty healthy place to have the deck. It doesn't feel great that there are so many 1 or 2 and 3 ofs, but it is a for fun deck. I definitely think it does have some viability in the current meta, just in it gets to late game and drops these 3 characters. Anyways, if you enjoyed this kind of video, please consider subscribing. I do like making for fun videos on top of my improvement videos. I am trying to make it to nationals. If this video is coming up and is the first one you see, I'm a guy who's trying to make it and do well at nationals. I already have my nationals invite, so this is a lot of self-improvement. So yeah, if you enjoy that, please consider subscribing. If you want to give me some feedback on the deck, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like. It does help a ton with engagement and reach. Anyways, that's all I have for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.